Always expect something good on your lunch hour along the way.
It is your destiny. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
I am your father. Remember that? Very dramatic scene in Star Wars. My 6-year-old son, Nick, is big time into Star Wars. I can prove it. We had a Star Wars birthday party a week ago. And he is so fascinated by Darth Vader and this whole relationship, this Anakin Skywalker with Luke Skywalker and all of this stuff. So it's kind of interesting. We're diving now into this whole fatherhood thing. We spent last hour talking about teenaged girls and how we can break through, talk to them, instill confidence in them, love them, and to show them that we're here for them. By the way, I want you to know that all of the resources that we talked about on the show last hour with Kathy Gowler about her book, she co-wrote a book with Susie Schellenberger. That information is on our website. It's kind of a Parents' Day today. The website is alongthewayradio.com. This is Along the Way. I'm your host, Stephanie. We've got the whole team here again for the second hour as usual. Lewis, and he's taking your calls and helps run the show, as does Carl. And that's the voice that you hear when I dialogue. It's not the angel. It is indeed Carl DeRocher, producer here at Along the Way. Sometimes people ask me, who's that guy that's talking? Oh, yeah, that's the janitor. He just stops by and empties the garbage. And no, it's Carl. So he's the producer, and we love to dialogue occasionally. I hope you're okay with that. We are moving along and talking now this hour with Doug Bond. He has written a book. He's written a couple of books, but I'm holding in my hands, and I've had the chance to go through Fathers and Sons Stand Fast in the Way of Truth and Fathers and Sons Hold Fast in a Broken World. These are amazing books, and even though I'm not a father, I plan on going through them and implementing the things and the ideas, the character attributes, humility and gratitude. I mean, the things that are discussed are so key, in my opinion, to raising healthy, strong men these days. And I think I'd like to talk with Doug about this generational issue with men that are currently parents and how we can maybe encourage strong fatherhood when, we may be faced with a generation of dads who don't know how to be really, really strong, involved, emotional kinds of dads. So Douglas Bond, he teaches English at Covenant High School in Tacoma, Washington. He's the author of more than a dozen books, including Stand Fast in the Way of Truth and Hold Fast in a Broken World. And those are the books we've got here for you when you give us a call today. These are a 2-volume Fathers and Sons series for dads, leading sons to Christian manhood. This is such a really big deal. Recently, a review by the Council on Biblical Manhood and Womanhood said this. It said, Bond's always lively pen has produced a hard-hitting new work of nonfiction, a work that serves as a robust clarion call to fathers and sons to live out Paul's admonition in 1 Corinthians 16, which is be watchful, stand fast in the faith, act like men, be strong. So we're going to talk about this today. I'm going to give you the phone number. It's 1-800-571-2755. Do you have questions about your sons, about how to be a father, about how to instill values into your kids? It's one thing to be a dad and to do fun stuff and to kind of be there and hang around. It's another thing entirely to instill character, integrity, and value into the life of a man. Doug has also been part of Faith Presbyterian Church in Tacoma for 25 years, where he serves as a ruling elder. He's educated. He's got a BA in history and an MIT in education from St. Martin's University. And we're so honored that you're with us, Doug. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. Let me ask you a question. Now, I'm from what generation? Generation X, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think you fall in Generation X.
Fall into that generation thing. Now, can you explain a little bit? In my generation, is there a disconnect between the fathers of today and how they raise their kids versus the father who are now our grandparents?
Well, I think it would be a mistake to say that if we just set the clock back, to the pristine days when fathers were fathers and sons were sons and everything was hunky-dory. I think that would be a mistake. I think human sin being what it is, fathers since Adam, have been looking for ways to point the finger at their wife, shift responsibility, and pursue their own agendas. And being a father, being a husband, means putting aside a lot of our own agendas and serving others. So I guess I would say that there are things today that have ramped up the problem, and that make it make kind of cultural expectations have shifted.
Yeah.
So fathers are kind of off the hook in some respects.
Well, you talk about this, and I want us to talk about this because I think, again, there's a perception that being a father means, well, your wife gave birth, and now you're around. You're supposed to help out.
It's biology. You're a father.
Well, right, your biology, but then there's the good old, let's go to a ball game together. Help me fix the spoke on the bike or the chain or whatever you're supposed to fix on a bike. I don't know, but so
that's what dads help with. That.
Exactly. So that, and then let's play ball in the backyard for a couple minutes. That kind of thing. That's not it. That's not it, and it feels like there's a disconnect. And I know you talk in the books about there's some cultural, there's technology, philosophy that are present now in our day and age. They're sort of waging war against real manhood.
Sure.
So, what are those things?
Yeah, I would say as a preface to that that there's timeless problems for men, and I think pride is fundamental to all of that. We want to use our gifts, our strengths, our roles for ourselves instead of to serve God and our wife and our children. So that's always been in place. But we live, I think, in a unique time when there are these cultural shifts that are pretty pernicious for fatherhood and for consequently for our children and for the next generation. For example, and I think it would, I don't want to blame one single thing. That would be unfair. That would be oversimplifying. But the rise of postmodernity and its principal agendas, particularly feminism. We go back to Simone de Beauvoir and The Second Sex in 1949, a landmark book that began to chart a new course for us culturally, and say that boys and girls, men and women are different only because of socialization, and women are the second sex, and we want to be like men. And then, of course, Betty Friedan follows in 1963, just as the sexual revolution is getting ahead of steam. And you then have women wanting to throw off the shackles and encouraged culturally and philosophically to we can be as promiscuous as men. And these things in place and various spin-offs from those two feminist agendas have left essentially a wasteland for manhood. Men actually kind of like it when women say, "Hey, we can be as strong and tough as men." Men will say, "Okay, go ahead," and then I'll go play. I'll go do my own thing, and I'll be irresponsible. I mean, Adam started that in the garden. The woman you gave me, she did give me an eye to eat, I think it backfires on society as a whole, certainly, and on women too. They're surrounded by a culture of limp-wristed males who really would much rather play. And if you want me to keep going, the technological side, there's all this whole avenue where young men can get virtual thrills and get some measure of short-term satisfaction from, pleasure transmitted through the thumbs in video games and so forth, and it leaves us with a pretty neutered male gender there.
Well, we're going to keep talking about that, and we've got to figure out how to turn this thing around, because we need leaders, we need men, we need fathers, we need husbands, and we need to teach our sons how to be all of this. I'm going to open up the phone lines for you to call. We've got 6 books to give away. Stand fast and hold fast.